Hello, welcome back to Algebra 1. We're going to solve multi-step equations, and the problems will just get slightly more complicated as we go along here to give you practice with lots of different problems. X minus 4, 2 times x minus 4 is equal to 22. And again, students get confused sometimes because they have the 2 multiplied by this quantity, which is multiplication, so they might want to get rid of the 2 by division, but then they also see the subtraction and they think, well, maybe I should do that first. The basic rule of solving equations is you want to do everything farthest away from x first. You know, this minus 4 is really close to x. It's inside the parentheses. You can't really handle that first. He's kind of the inside of the present. You got to unwrap the present from out to in. Besides, even if you try to get rid of the 4, what would you do? You'd add 4 to both sides, right? If you add 4 to this quantity, you're not going to be able to add it to this because this is wrapped up inside of parentheses, which is 2 multiplied. So you wouldn't be able to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish by adding 4 anyway. What you need to do is divide by 2, because that will lead to a simpler version. All you're trying to do is make the equation simpler and simpler each step of the way while slowly getting close to x. We'll divide the left by 2 and we'll divide the right by 2. Don't let it scare you that this is a giant parentheses. You have a 2 in the top and the 2 in the bottom, which means they cancel or they divide out. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And so what happens is you're left with, on the left-hand side, you have x minus 4 is equal to, what is 22 divided by 2? It's going to be 11, right? Like this. Now, it is true that there are parentheses around there. That's true. But there's nothing, you don't really need the parentheses anymore. The reason that you had the parentheses here is because you're multiplying the whole thing by 2. So we cancel that away. It's gone. We don't really need the parentheses anymore. You can just kind of strip them away. X minus 4 is equal to 11. How do you get rid of the negative 4? You have to do the opposite. Add 4 to the left, add 4 to the right. So what's going to happen is this is going to give you 0, the negative 4 plus 4, giving you x on the left. On the right, that's going to give you 15. 11 plus 4, 15. That's the correct answer. If you stick 15 in here, 15 minus 4 is 11. 11 times 2 gives you 22, and that's the correct answer. All right? Let's move along. Let's say, what if we had 15 is equal to 8x minus 5 plus 2x. So our x's are on the right-hand side, but immediately we know we have 8x and we have 2x. So those are like terms. So we need to combine them first to put all the x's together. 8x plus 2x is just two positive numbers, 10x. We still have to subtract 5, just like that. Now, we want to get to x, but we have the negative 5 here, so we're going to get rid of him first. We're going to add 5 to both sides, doing the opposite of the negative 5. 10x minus 5 plus 5. So that gives us 0. The 5's go away on the right. On the left, you have 20, and on the right, you just have 10x. That's all that's left. All right, how do you get rid of the 10? Since it's multiplied, we'll divide both sides by 10. And so on the right, the 10 will cancel with the 10, or divide out, just giving us 1. So on the left-hand side, what you're going to have is 20 divided by 10 is 2 equals x, or you can rewrite it if you want x is equal to 2. And that is the final answer. If you take this value of 2 and stick it in here, 8 times 2 is 16, right? This is 16. Minus 5 is going to give you 11. So this whole thing gives you 11. But you're going to add to that, 2 times 2 is 4. So 11 plus 4 gives you 15. So you've satisfied the equation. Everything's fine. All right, the next question is a little more interesting, or the next problem is a little more interesting. If you have negative 1/2, parentheses, x plus 4 is equal to 16, how do you handle it? Again, students say, well, maybe I should handle, the fraction first, or maybe I should do the 4 first. Well, the 4 is wrapped up inside of a parentheses, too close to x. You can't do half first, so you should deal with this first. Okay? And when you see a fraction like this, you can think of it many different ways, but it's basically division because you have a 2 on the bottom there. You want to get rid of that. And so you're going to do that by multiplication. So let's rewrite that. Negative 1/2 x plus 4 equals 16. How can you get rid of this 2 that's down here? Just get rid of it. Well, you're going to multiply by something. I'm going to multiply by 2. But I also have a negative 1 here, so I can get 2 birds with 1 stone by multiplying by negative 2. So I multiply both sides by negative 2 because what that does for me, the 2 on the bottom cancels with the 2 on the top, and negative times negative gives me positive. So I get rid of that negative sign straight away also. So all I have left is x plus 4. I just dropped the parentheses since it's the only thing left. And on the right-hand side, 16 times negative 2 is negative 32. Now, all you have to do to get x by itself is get rid of the 4, which you'll do by subtraction. So x plus 4 is equal to negative 32. You just subtract 4 from the left, subtract 4 from the right. And so what you're going to have, this is going to give you 0, so you'll have x is equal to, what is negative 32 minus 4? Another way to think of it is negative 32 plus a negative 4. You're going more deeply negative, so it's going to be negative 36. So you basically add the numbers together, 32 plus 4, and it's going to be negative based on our rules of subtraction. So the answer is negative 36. All right, we'll do one more problem in this lesson as we continue to build these skills. What if you have 21 equals negative 3 halves, parentheses, x minus 2, like that. All right, so same sort of thing. We have a bunch of different ways we can go about it, okay? I mean, there's more than one way to handle it, you know. I've been telling you in all the previous problems like this one and like this one to kind of get rid of what's outside of the parentheses first. So we could get rid of this negative 3 halves first. I mean, we could certainly do that. How would we do it? We would basically, we could multiply both sides by 2, which would get rid of the 2 here, and then we could divide both sides by negative 3, which would get rid of the 3. That would be totally fine to do. But let's do it a little bit differently. Let's be crazy here. We have just to show you a different way to do it. We have this outside of a parenthesis. So let's distribute it in. Let's multiply it times this and multiply it times this, and then let's see what we end up with. So we'll just do it for variety a different way. This negative 3 halves times x is going to be negative 3 halves x. And then you have negative 3 halves times negative 2, which gives you positive 3 halves times 2. The reason I wrote it as positive is because negative times negative gives you positive 3 halves times 2. Now, the 2 on the bottom here cancels with the 2 up there, so I really don't have to do anything, you know, too clever right there. So when I rewrite everything, what I'm going to end up having is 21 equals negative 3 halves x plus 3. Now we want to get closer to x, so let's get rid of the 3. That's a plus 3, so let's get rid of it by subtracting 3 from both sides. So I have 21 minus 3 is equal to negative 3 halves x plus 3 minus 3. All I did was subtract 3 from both sides. And so on the left, I'll continue over here, what is 21 minus 3? That's 18. On the right, I have negative 3 halves x, and the 3 minus 3 is 0, so that just disappears. That's the whole reason I did it anyway. All right, so I want to get x by himself. What do I do next? There's lots of different ways I can proceed. Let me just first get rid of the 2 on the bottom. I get rid of that by multiplying by 2. 18 is equal to negative 3 halves x. Let me multiply this side of the equation by 2, and when I do that, I'll multiply this side of the equation by 2. So 2 times 18 on the left is going to be 36, and on the right-hand side, the 2 on the bottom cancels with the 2 on the top, so all I really have left is negative 3x. So now, in order to get x by itself, I have to have multiplied by negative 3. I'll divide by negative 3, like this. What is 36 divided by negative 3? Well, 36 divided by 3 is 12, but since the signs are different, it's going to really be negative 12. And on the right-hand side, the negative 3 cancels with the negative 3. So all I'm going to have is x. So x is equal to negative 12. And I'll leave it as an exercise to you. Take this negative 12, stick it into here, and you'll verify that it does satisfy that equation. So again, none of these are incredibly hard, but I am giving you lots of practice. Now we have a couple more lessons here, at least let's see here, 2 more lessons, just continuing to solve a little more complicated problem-solving equations, multiple step equations. And with each time you need to, after the lesson, make sure you can solve them all yourself on your own sheet of paper. When you can do that, follow me on to the next lesson, and we'll conquer part 4 of solving multiple step equations.